I often hear, now you have a relationship, why are you still talking about being single? Why are you still talking about never having had a relationship before now? And I would say to that just like a romantic relationship and a history of that is formative, so is the lack of one. It is formative and foundational to how I view myself now, how I view myself in my relationship, and it still stays with me all these years later. I also believe it's because we don't want to hear from single people, and that is precisely why we need to. We don't want to hear about their pain, and that is precisely why it needs to be talked about. It is something that for years society has said, hide, stay away, don't talk about that part of yourself. Oh, you want to talk about all of the heartbreak and the toxic relationships you've been through and how difficult divorce is and all of the difficulties of a relationship? Come on in, let's talk about it forever. You want to talk about what it's like to be chronically single? You want to talk about what it's like to be lonely in that depth of a way? The grief that comes from a lack of experiences, never having developed in the same way as your peers at the time that they did, about never having like those romantic attachments young? Ew, cringy, no, stop talking about that. We don't want to hear that. While we know that shame grows in silence, healing comes in speaking truth. And speaking truth to your experience, to your life, and who you are. That is a large part of who I am. And I want other people to potentially learn from my mistakes of how I identified that at a younger age. I would have had such a better life and existence had I not carried so much shame in my 20s and 30s about this. And so I don't want people to have that level of shame. And so I will continue to talk about how it formed me and how I'm seeking to push back against the negative things that it formed in me. I will never know a young love. I will never know a young love. I will not know what it's like to go through those heightened emotions in that way. I will never know what it's like to go to these dances with my friends and my peers and to have somebody see me at that time in my life when I needed somebody to see me. I am deeply grateful that I'm getting it now at 42. And I know that that's even a blessing compared to other people who maybe are in their 45s and 48s and 50 and 60 who've never had it. I am blessed, I am lucky. But there's core griefs that I will never be able to have. I will never know what it's like to have my dad walk me down the aisle because he's dead. And maybe if I would have gotten in a relationship and and gotten married, talking about my dad, okay. So I am not stuck. I am not living in the past. I'm seeking to create a better future for myself and for other people by sharing my experiences. This was foundational. And so of course I'm going to draw on what was my foundation as I look towards the future of my life. So I'll continue to speak on it, and I'm sending love to anybody who's navigating grief of any kind.